Hey everybody, Shei here. A couple weeks back, I gave you guys a peek into my event-based nonlinear planning system that I call the Eon. Now, the Eon is actually only one part of my note system. The other part is a version of Zettelkasten that is focused on projects and processes and repeatable systems that you can use over and over again. It's not going that great though. I keep running into issues with redundancy in where to place my notes, and it just happens too often that I don't know where to place my notes in my own note system. And so I took a step back and decided I was going to try to learn more about how the classic traditional Zettelkasten system works. And that means analog. And in order to keep that experiment separate from the system that I'm trying to build out in my Supernote, I decided to try it out in Boox. And here's my Boox Note Max. So I think when the concept of Zettelkasten hit the digital spaces, something valuable from the analog versions of Zettelkasten was lost. So obviously there's the handwriting aspect of it, which helps you retain a memory and absorb the information of the notes that you are making. But there is also some additional aspects of analog Zettelkastens that I'll talk about here that you don't see in Zettelkastens that are made out in Obsidian, for example. I think a lot of what makes a Zettelkasten are the methods that are used in the analog versions of that system. And I think one of the things that most commonly gets dropped when somebody is creating a digital Zettelkasten is the unique ID. So let me go ahead and zoom in here. So the format that I'm using here, I learned from Kathleen Spracklin, and I will link her channel. Her content is really great. But this is, I would say, a pretty common format for people to use in analog Zettelkasten systems. And the unique ID typically has 3 parts. And so the first part, let me get rid of this UI. The first part is the category or topic number. And these usually run in the thousands. So it's typically, say, like 1,000 for science, 2,000 for literature, 3,000 for politics, 4,000 for philosophy, let's say. And those can break down further into subcategories. So say if 4,000 was philosophy, then 4,100 would be a specific kind of philosophy. And so would 42,000 or 4,200. And those can just keep breaking down into smaller subcategories. The second part of the numbering system is what I call the note thread. And I'm not sure what other people call it. But essentially, when you create notes under a specific category, they get a number within that category. In this case, it starts out with 2. And then as you create more notes, you branch them off into different conversations. So let's say note 2 was about ethics. And so you will continue making notes within that ethics branch of philosophy. Let's say that 2C is about law. So 2C1, 2C2, and 2C3 are about specific aspects of law. And 2C3 has more notes under it that branch off. And it's just a tree of notes that continue on as long as you can continue to have things that you want to make note of in that topic. And the third part of the ID tends to be the creation date. And for this system, I would recommend that you use a format of year, month, and day. Because if you go in another order, like the common order that's we typically use in the States of month, day, and year, it makes it hard to search for notes by year or by month within a particular year, and so on. And so that's the unique ID format. And here is an example of a typical layout for a note in the Zettelkasten system. So as you can see here, I've used a template that is inspired from note cards or index cards. Usually the ID would go here, and then the note title here, and the content here. And here in this lower area, you would put references like links to other notes or cards. You can also put references to literary works or sources. And you can see that the unique ID is highlighted there because I have made all the unique IDs in my Zettelkasten system into tags in the notes or the Boox Notes app. And what this does is it does two things. So when you make the unique IDs into tags, you differentiate the original note from all the other places in your note system where that note might be referenced. And since Boox's tag search supports searching partial tags, you would then have the option to search the ID, and you can search parts of the ID to find notes based on topic or the thread or the date that they were created. So I finished recording and I realized that I forgot to show you guys how it works to search your notes via the unique ID in Boox. And so just wanted to show you that real quick. So how you navigate to the screen is from the note, you would just go to the pages view. You would get this little search icon on the top right. And so if we're searching tags, we go to tags, and here are the tags for all the notes that I have so far. So you can select one and it'll show you the page that the note is on. Or if you want, you can search for all the notes that are in a given topic. So, oops, everything in this topic, 3100. It shows you all the notes that are in this category. And so you can do that by category, you can do that by the thread, or you can do that by creation date. And one other benefit of using unique IDs, even in a digital Zettelkasten, is that you don't have to rely on the linking functionality of the tool that you're using to manage it. So it's rare, but hyperlinks can get corrupted. Tags can get lost either by user error or some kind of app glitch. And using a unique ID system will help ensure that you always know what your notes are referring to, and you would always know where in your system your notes should be placed. So another one of the things that tends to be lost with a conversion of Zettelkasten from an analog system to a digital system is the actual physical aspect of the analog. Like I said before, analog Zettelkasten requires you to write out your notes, which assists with memory creation. Also, when it comes to physical analog Zettelkasten systems, you have actual cards to manipulate, and you can do workshopping or sandboxing, which is kind of another way of saying you can lay out your cards in front of you and have that sort of spatial way of looking at your notes and formulating ideas and connecting concepts. Digital systems like Obsidian do a pretty good job of simulating that kind of experience with features like Canvas or plugins like Excalidraw. I've had a harder time recreating that experience in an eink platform like Supernote. But with books, in particular the Boox Note Max, you have all this real estate. And something that you can do on the Notes app is expand your margins. So you can make your notes even larger, and you have the ability to zoom in and out. And let me show you what this can look like. So let's go ahead and pick. What I typically do is create a rectangle around the notes. And I'll copy it. And I'll bring it over to my sandbox. And so here you can have a pretty similar experience of being able to lay out your cards and move them around and arrange them any way that you want. Of course, you can make arrows, do a kind of mind map, make additional notes. And so you could also give this a unique ID number of its own. You could put more cards on it and put links on it, and it could become like a map of content. And so, yeah, that's just a few of the things that I have been working on in my Zettelkasten in Boox. And so that's my use case for today. I hope it gave you some ideas. Let me know if you have ever built any kind of Zettelkasten system before. Did you use note cards, or did you use something like Obsidian or Logseek? Or did you do something in between, kind of like what I'm doing here? And I know I'm stretching things a bit by saying that this is a hybrid analog digital Zettelkasten system. When it comes down to it, even eink tablets are digital devices. But I think the experience of it counts for something. And with something like Boox, even though it's digital, you have the opportunity to lean into analog aspects of it and kind of have the best of both worlds. I hope you enjoyed this little exploration, and I will see you guys next time.